Thanks for joining us today. I'm Gabe Garish, owner of Backwoods Pursuit, and today we're going to do a Sitka Jetstream jacket review. We're going to look at the older Sitka Jetstream jacket versus the newer model, the new Sitka Jetstream that they just came out with. We're going to look at what is different about the new model, some of the changes they made, some of the differences in the sizing and cuts and whatnot to help you decide if this is something you want to change to, and then what they upgraded from the older model as well. It's always really appreciated if you hit that subscribe button and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Got a bunch of gear reviews over on the website, backwoodspursuit.com. I'll put links to all that down in the description, as well as a link to the Sitka Jetstream jacket so you can check it out for yourself if you would like to. Let's dive into this. All right, so the old Jetstream versus the new one. As you may know, they recently came out with a new Jetstream jacket, and they updated a few things, sizing, some of the features and whatnot here, so we're going to go over those. There's a lot of similarities here between these two, but there are a few things that are very nice about the new one here that are good changes in this jacket. They both still have pit zips. Some of the things that are similar here, both still have the pit zips. They both still have Gore-Tex Infinium. Both have the pockets here. Otherwise, of course, both have a hood and whatnot. But one of the differences here, one of the minor differences on the new one, you have just one chest pocket here, whereas the old one, as you can see, you've got two chest pockets, one on either side. So you do lose a chest pocket in the new one. One of the primary and the biggest differences that I noticed here between these two is the fabric, the face fabric material in the new and the old one. If you've used the old one or are familiar with it or heard much about it, it's an excellent jacket. Obviously, it's been around a long time, one of their popular jackets. It's quite loud though for a soft shell. It's a more abrasive. You can probably hear it in the video. It's a little bit noisy. It's not too bad, but it is a little bit noisy. And so that's one of the things they updated on the new jacket. This is a very soft. It almost feels like a suede almost. It's really, really soft, really quiet. It's a whole lot quieter than the older model. So that is a welcomed change here on the new Jetstream jacket. Something now you can use in early season archery just as easily as you weren't so much able to on this one, because it was a little bit on the noisy side. If you found yourself having to draw on an animal or whatnot, that was a little bit on the noisy side. So that's a very welcome change. Both still have a hood, but there's a couple of differences here. Put these side by side in the hoods, or not so much the hood themselves, but some of the components that allow you to adjust the hood here. So one of them here is on both sides of the new one here. Instead of the previous little button here or toggle that you push that in and then pull that down, pull the cord down, the elastic cord to tighten down your hood. Now what they've got is a push button here on the interior. It's lower profile. You don't really see it there, but you just give that a tug or a push right there, and then you pull that elastic, and that will go ahead and tighten down that. So there's one on either side of the hood there. And then on the back here of the hood, to tighten down the top of the hood, it is now you've got a garage here with the same push button style. So you push that down. You're going to pull that to tighten that hood down on your head if you need to. So that's kind of nice that it's a little more out of the way than the previous model here, where on the back side here you have a little bit of a bulky spring-loaded button there where you push that and then pull that elastic piece to tighten that down on the back of the hood. So it's definitely a nice upgrade that way as far as some of the buttons and components there that make up this jacket. Now, one other thing I did notice about the new one versus the old one here is that it did have a little bit more of a tendency to have burrs stick to it, or stickers latch on to it. The material is just that softer material. Now, it wasn't like it was really bad by any stretch, but here and there you'd have a burr or two attached, whereas the years that I've been wearing this older one, I don't think I've ever had a burr attached to this material, because it's just a more abrasive material overall than the newer, softer material. So something to take note of, not something that would personally deter me from the new one by any stretch, but it did notice that did happen a time or two on the new model. Now, one of the other differences in these jackets is that the older one is slightly lighter, and I'm basing this off of the size that I needed for both of these. We'll go over the sizes in just a moment. In the new model here, with some of the sizing changes, and again we'll go over that in a second, I needed a large tall. I typically just wear a large, not a tall, but I tried the large in this, and the problem with that is that the sleeves were too short primarily, and the shoulders were a little bit not quite wide enough. So I ended up going to large tall, which put me at 26.7 ounces on the new one. The older one, this is a size XL regular, not a tall, it's at 25.7. So about a 1 ounce difference from the size XL in the older Jetstream, and the newer size large tall was about an ounce heavier. So interesting that way. The face fabric does seem like it might be a smidge heavier than on the older one, so I imagine that's where some of that weight, that extra ounce, comes from. Now, a note on the sizing here. As I mentioned, the previous model, as we know, it had some sizing challenges. I typically wear a large in just about everything. I absolutely had to go to an XL in this. A large was barely fit on me at all. So an XL here fit really, really well. The fit on this was perfect as far as rather than having to size up to an XL, was really perfect. I could wear this over other layers if I needed to, and it was just perfect that way. So I really enjoyed the fit of the older one, but I did have to size up that extra size. So as you can see, really good fit. The arms are nice and tapered on the older one. So I actually liked the fit a little bit better on the older one, even though I had to size up to the size XL, and I'll show you why. On the newer one here, it's a little bit more designed if you're going to be layering underneath it, which is a really good thing. But this is again a size large, and it has even more room on the interior than the XL did. So they definitely made that change in the sizing here. One of the main differences in the sizing here, the body's pretty similar, so it fits real well that way. But I noticed that the arms had a little bit more material here than the previous model. So even though this is a large tall, the arms had a little bit more room for other layers if you wanted to put underneath it, which is nice because you're going to obviously use this a lot of times in later season where you are layering underneath it. So that was real nice. The large, the standard large without being large tall, was really quite short. I mean, it came about like that on my sleeve. So I absolutely had to go to the large tall. I did get a little bit of extra length here, which is nice. Well, one of the sizing differences on the new one here, they did add some length versus the previous model, because that was one of the complaints on the older one, is that they do run kind of short, and that is true. When I used a large in this, or I tried a large, it was really quite short. It came down to just about to your belt. The fabric here between the two, time will tell on the new one. It doesn't feel as durable as the older one. And again, just time using this out in the field, because this just came out a few months ago, maybe 5 or 6 months ago, so I haven't had it and used it nearly as long as the older one. It doesn't seem like it's going to be as durable, but that's certainly not to say that it won't be. That's just based on the way it feels. It's a lot more malleable, a lot more pliable that way. This is a little more rigid, obviously, like I mentioned, a lot louder too though. So hard to say that way, but we'll see over time. But I really do like the changes that they made with this. This is better now for layering underneath, whereas you really had to almost size up twice to get much layering underneath on the previous Jetstream. So that part's really nice. The arms give you a little bit more. It's not too much, but it's definitely more. So if you want to add the extra layers, maybe something like that ambient would be, an ambient jacket or hoodie is awesome underneath this. So you have that warmth. And you're not compressing down or synthetic puffy, but you're still able to put something like that underneath this really, really well. Drop any questions or comments. I'd love to help you out if we can. If we can point you in the right direction or get you going to the right size, we'd love to help you out if we can. Again, I'll put links to these down in the description for you so you can check it out for yourself. Thanks for joining us here today. We'll see you next time.